guys, it's Edlin from LUCIDPIXUL, and welcome back. I want to share a story about my art career. And at the end of this story, juxtaposed against the very many stories that I've heard from you listening and sharing your stories back with me online, or the students that I've had the honor and the pleasure of sharing my time with, how all of this is linked to something that I watched very recently. It was kind of a key that unlocked an understanding. And it's an understanding that I've made throughout my career, but when you hear this message shared by another artist, when you hear another person, whether it be painting or photography or videography or audio or anything, you realize how closely linked we are, and it creates a sense of community. It creates a sense of, okay, I'm not an anomaly. I'm not a weirdo. We all go through this. And this one thing that I realized I went through, and pretty much every artist I've ever met has gone through and will go through moving forward, is it changes your perspective on what you do on a day-to-day basis. It changes your sense of purpose as an artist moving forward. When I look back at my own artistic career, and one of the things I've shared on my channel, I realize just how many times things have changed for me. Not only in terms of my artistic focus, but in terms of my priorities, in terms of my technique and my procedure, how I actually complete an image, but my priorities in my career, my priorities with time, my priorities when it comes to what matters as a person, what matters to me to create in terms of its communication to my audience, what I prioritize sharing with people, and how my art and illustration and animation, how my paintings have evolved over the years, is not only a manifestation of the artistic techniques that I think are cool and have helped me grow, but they're also a manifestation of the individual that I am and the type of world I want to share with the people around me. That my art, whether it be abstract creature designs or whether it be based off some kind of already pre-written narrative or lore, which is usually the background, it's the foundation of a lot of the types of artworks that I create, there's a reason why I do it. There's a reason why I share this kind of art, and that philosophy, that thought process resonates into what I'm sharing with you right now. That although it might seem very different, the message I'm sharing with you right now and the general art talks that I share with you right now, and the artwork, although it subjectively might seem very different, at the core of who I am, there are more similarities than differences. And I can make a direct emotional connection between what I paint and what I'm speaking with you right now. Now you're at the point of this video, you're watching me paint a dark creature design of the echidna, inspired by the echidna creatures of The Witcher 3, because I've been playing Witcher 3 recently. And it's a scary, dark monster inspired by many different types of artists, be it Frazetta, or be it Beksinski, or be it Rockwell, or be it, you name it. All of these different influences are all playing into what it is right now. But you know what else is playing into what I'm designing right now? An animation background. An animation background that I've been very candid in the past. I can very easily see the cartoonist in this art, but I can also see the comic book style, Frazetta style work. I can also see the sergeant in my work. I can also see the Bouguereau in my work. I can see the Walter Everett in my work. I can see the Piotr Jablonski in my work. It's all there. And all of these influences, all of these different inspirations, all of these different artistic things, processes, evolutions that I've made that resonate into my work, that have connected with me on an artistic and personal level throughout the years, have connected to me not only based on the artistic beauty of the artists that inspired me, but by the core emotional message that I'm slowly but surely building as I become whoever it is I'm eventually going to become. And in all candid, confident honesty, I have no clue who I am as an artist, or at least I have no clue of who I'm going to be. One of the things that age and experience has granted me, a little bit of insight and wisdom that age and experience has granted me, is in the fact that I embrace the fact that I am, always have been, and always will be a work in progress. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no final goal. There is no top of the hill. I abandoned the top of the hill a long time ago. And I realized that, as I've mentioned in other art talks in the past as well, that life is a journey. And I'm at this particular point in my life. And as an artist, I'm sharing with you this piece of artwork, not as a testament to my expertise, not as a testament to the greatness that I have achieved, rather as a diary entry, a journal entry of my mind and my priorities and my focus and my inspirations at this particular point in my life. I've analyzed the artworks of many different artists. Analyze and go through the history of artists like John Singer Sargent. Look at the history of artists like Frazetta, beautifully broken down by Charles Bernard from Online Art Academy. He just reposted his Frazetta video. I love how Charles, as a very experienced artist from a very experienced background, made a point of digging up some of Frazetta's old works, some of his old stuff, before he got good. Before he learned that lesson, look what Frazetta created. And I love an experienced artist picking out and being able to kind of build a visual timeline of a master artist before he was a master. I love that. It makes me and Frazetta feel a little bit closer. It puts us back on equal playing ground. And furthermore, highlights the importance of a certain lesson, a certain epiphany that Frazetta might have had throughout his career, because that's where I truly learned the importance of that particular lesson. It reinforces the importance of learning that, like, for instance, shadow shapes, just as one simple little thing, and how that forever transformed his work and subsequently transformed mine through recognizing that lesson in Frazetta's work. I recognized shadow shapes in Frazetta's work, but I didn't even know that's what it was called. I needed Charles Bernard's expertise to say, that's an actual term. There's a term associated with that discovery you made, Adam, that many years ago. It's called this. And as soon as he defined it for me, all of a sudden he opened up a learning principle to me that expanded me into so many different artists like Leyendecker and Bouguereau and Klimt, etc. I'm, like you, an artist sitting here in this mess of thought, this swirling abyss of ideas, and every now and then something flies by my face close enough that I can grab it out of the air and look at it and go, oh, that's what that thing is. That's what that beautiful color is. It's that. It makes sense. And I slowly but surely, if it's something that functions, if it's something that connects to what I do as an artist, I get a piece of Scotch tape and I tape it to my painting and I go, now my painting has just grown this much more. It's grown this much more interesting. It's got this extra layer of depth to it. And I slowly but surely evolve. Now this brings us to the very thing, the documentary that inspired me to do today's talk. And the final quote at the end of this documentary, which I highly recommend you watch, the final quote that brought this thought process, that brought this art talk together today, for me to share this with you as a very, very important life lesson and artistic lesson. It's a documentary about the photographer Donald Webber, who described his journey throughout his entire artistic career as a photographer that led him to eventually being the photographer that captured images of post-nuclear disasters. Nuclear disasters that happened, for instance, in, I'm not sure if he actually went there, but like Pripyat, for instance, or in the case of this documentary, post-Fukushima, the power plant, the nuclear power plant that had a meltdown after the earthquake, which led to a tsunami that devastated the coastline of Japan. A very modern and very raw disaster. And what he was describing, what was being described in this documentary was how the media only went so far. The media said, okay, here's the disaster. Here's what the coastline looks like from a drone footage perspective of how the coastline got destroyed. And here's the upturned boats and the cars that are sitting vertically off the side of a bridge. And they stop there. And what Donald took upon himself to do was to go past the yellow tape, so to speak, and to look for the continually existing evidence of devastation, aka the human bodies face down in the mud of these people who had passed away, these countless bodies that got washed up in the mud that are embedded like frozen in time in the mud, that were people's lives. He tried to reconnect. To him, it was a personal obligation to not treat these as casualties of a disaster, but try to reconnect one human to another human's demise and bring humanity back into this. And he describes in very human, very relatable terms what motivated him to get to that point, to capture imagery that is very, very difficult for him to capture, to point a camera at hard subjects like this. And in the end, he says he realized that his life's work, his work as an artist, was not a product of the project that he was completing. It wasn't his great achievement was not that one great achievement, the pinnacle of his career, the best-selling album, so to speak. That his artistic creations were a lifetime achievement. That your artistic achievements are not everything you did leading up to here. This is how we usually tend to think about it. And that we have like the golden years of Rockwell's work, for instance, was between this year and this year. No. Rockwell's artistic achievement was that he had managed to catalog his entire artistic journey. It was the life of an artist from birth to death. Everything that was where he started from and how he evolved through the years, where that popularity grew when he became a household name, and when he went through hardships and struggled against the stereotype that people had associated with his work of being the guy who always captures the happy, simple moment. And maybe there were subjects like when he was doing paintings about racism or about social injustice, things that he felt needed to have a light shown on it, and how people rejected him for that, and how he struggled against society. There's a whole documentary in it, which I really recommend you watch, on Rockwell's life. Steven Spielberg, the film director, is in that quite a bit. And you realize, oh my God, Rockwell was probably one of the most important tools and inspirations that Steven Spielberg, the director, used in the creation of his films. And you realize, oh my God, every character that Spielberg has ever chosen for his film, be it E.T. or Indiana Jones or any of these countless absolutely fantastic movies ever made, all of his characters are plucked straight out of a Rockwell painting, aren't they? Watch the beginning of The Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. River Phoenix at the beginning of that film, who plays young Indiana Jones. And then he's got this little sidekick, this kind of chubby kid with blue eyes and blonde hair and pink cheeks. That is a lollipop kid plucked straight out of a Rockwell painting. Huh. That Steven Spielberg was once sitting down. He was sitting down one day and looked at a Rockwell painting and said, "I love these characters. They speak to me." And as a director, he stole that inspiration and sprinkled it in as a very important ingredient in the recipe that is the genius of Steven Spielberg's films. But Steven Spielberg as a director is also, and always has been and continues to be, a work in progress, with a series of successes and failures, with a series of inspirations that come at him in very impulsive, spontaneous ways sometimes, that slowly grow and evolve into the elaborate, rich recipe that is Spielberg's films. What can I tell you? And one of the joys of being a YouTuber, sharing my artwork like this echidna painting with you right now, and successful in the not so successful paintings I've shared with you over the years as I've done these art talks, are not intended to be a flex of my grandeur, a promotional tool for my online mentorship. No. They are just a journal entry. It's a diary entry of where I felt and what inspired me at that particular point in time. It's that simple. And it's that understanding, it's that belief that my art is not the next ultimate moment, opportunity for me to show off to you. It's showing you where my head was at that particular point of time. And if I'm not uber proud of it, there's lots of, I could point out over the last couple of years paintings that I'm like, shit, look at the paintings on my YouTube channel and then look at the stuff that's actually on adamduff.com, the stuff that's actually in my portfolio. You're going to see a lot of paintings missing. And the reason why is because at the end of it, I was like, meh, doesn't do it for me. It was okay, whatever. It was good enough to make it to a YouTube video, but meh. And I'm perfectly happy making plenty of unremarkable paintings. I always try my best. I always strive to create the best quality I can, but it's a hit or miss sometimes, and sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. That's perfectly fine. And it's also perfectly fine for you, isn't it? Right? We are so hard on ourselves for not achieving our greatest masterpieces every single time. We have these ego moments in our time where we highlight that painting that we feel was a big success, the one that we really, really, really love, and we show that to our audience, and we say, "Look what I can do," which is kind of necessary, right? Because when you're promoting yourself artistically, you want to show off the stuff that you're the most proud of. But then something interesting happens. And I've noticed this with my artwork as well. I noticed this with my girlfriend, with my kids, with my friends. More often than not, they'll look at a painting that I thought was completely, like, literally discardable, and they tell me, "That's my favorite painting you've ever done. I love that painting." And I'm like, "That piece of shit? Really? I hate that painting." No, I love that. I love the colors. I love the character. I'm like, ugh, I would never put that in my portfolio. I'm humiliated. That painting is humiliating to me. It's awful. Oh, no, I love it. Could you print it? I want to put it up on my wall. I'm like, dude, you want me to have to look at that shit every day on my wall? No, absolutely not. No, I'll do this one. And they're like, fine, okay, if you want. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And in the end, you realize that what people end up liking from you the most is not necessarily a manifestation. It's not a reflection of what you hold in highest regard as a technical, high-achieving, high-standard artist. It's more of what artwork that you created that makes that onlooker, that observer of your work, feel the most connected to you in a way that is very subjective to them. Yeah. So you can never honestly tell what's going to be the biggest success. Here's a really good example. A good friend of mine, and ridiculously, humblingly amazing artist, Tyler Edlin. And he told me something really funny once. If you look up Tyler Edlin, you're 99% positive you're going to very quickly bump into a painting of a stormtrooper riding a squirrel. He still uses that painting as his thumbnail. It was a huge success when he painted it. If you look at that painting compared to what he does today, you wouldn't even know the same artist painted it. Not only in terms of the subject itself, but just his skill has gone 50,000 leagues since then. He's evolved very quickly as an artist, but it's still a hugely popular painting. It is, because it's subjectively a very fun topic that people can relate to. It's very relatable. It's fun. It's cute. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It was just one of those not taking yourself too seriously moments that connected with his audience. But can you hold that next to something he's painted today and go, oh yeah, I can see it? No, it's night and day. And I have so many paintings of mine. When I reflect back on the history of my artwork and my career, I used to show off the paintings that I felt were the best, technically the best achievements artistically, the ones that looked the best, the ones that had the best character, etc., etc. And those are the ones that I'm going to show in my portfolio, because I want to show off artworks that show where I am more than where I was. But those aren't the most important paintings to me. The most important paintings to me were the ones where I made some very important discovery that I feel made me a better artist in general, with a capital A, artist. What really unlocked certain parts of me. And I can name them. I can easily, quickly identify with these works of art. And these works of art might be 15 years old. Things that on a technical level I could paint circles around today. But I still look at them and I say, that was a very important painting and it matters to me. It's important. I hold on to this. I cherish this because this was a moment where I made a very important discovery about expressing myself artistically. Either be through narrative, through the physical contact between different characters, be it about the way I made this revelation about composition, or I made a revelation about line and color. It could be anything, but there were these kind of aha moments. And those aha moments are burned into that painting. And they are a moment in time that I can pinpoint as being the catalyst that led to this huge growth moving forward from that point on. As you move through your career, and as you judge yourself in a positive way or harshly, which of course every one of us artists are very prone to, we tend to be our worst critics, I encourage you, even if it's challenging, to step away from the moment, step away from what you're working on right now, and don't judge yourself based off of where the state of this current painting you're working on. But every now and then, make a point of stepping back from your work and looking back at your history, whether you tore up and destroyed that painting or not, whether it's just through memory or through physically looking at a piece of artwork, and recognize your artwork as a journal entry, not as evidence of your artistic skill at that point in time. Look at it as a journal entry in your life, and you realize something. You realize how important it is. You realize how important. I think back of, for instance, is a painting of this old man sitting on a picnic bench outside the Café du Monde in New Orleans, and he's sitting down having a beignet with his wife who's passed away, because it's just his purse sitting there. On an artistic level, it was still when I was still doing very cartoony kind of stuff, and it was, from an artistic color perspective or from a compositional perspective, it wasn't necessarily my greatest, most proud achievement. But it was a moment in a painting where I realized the importance of bringing your heart and your soul into work, and capturing an emotion rather than just capturing a quirky, silly pose. It was actually painting an entire story that had some backstory to it. And I put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into composing it in a way that told the story in a way that hopefully resonated with my audience. Is it my greatest artistic achievement of all time? No. But it is an incredibly important work of art that I will cherish because of what it taught me as a person and as an artist. And I encourage you to do the same thing as well. Don't throw out any of your old stuff because you're going to end up really regretting it if you do. Take it from experience. I destroyed so many of my old paintings thinking they didn't have any value, and now I'm looking back and thinking to myself, I'm an idiot. I wish I still had those old crappy works of art. So understand that your work is not crap. Understand that it is a moment in time, and you're going to have many of these moments moving forward as well. Cherish it as such. Okay? And with that said, I love you all with all my heart, and happy painting. Take care.